Many people in this room have a chosen family. In several ways, all of us are connected through our shared values and our celebration of pride. We didn't get here from nowhere, so I want to take a moment to celebrate those that came before us and the trailblazers of our time. We come from giants. You come from giants. We come from the greatest minds of the Renaissance. We come from the greatest authors of history. We come from fighters. We come from artists. And yes, we come from icons. So at that, I want to read this quote by RuPaul, who says, "We are all born naked, and the rest is drag." And as the lovely Kim Petras says, life is too short to be anything but happy. Let's face it, we have the best allies. I started with those who came before to remind each of you that you're standing on the shoulders of greatness. Hopefully, in this conference and meeting of minds, droplets will be added to the ocean of wonder. Be curious. It's going to be a wonderful day. There may be people here today who feel alone. I want everybody just to take a second and look around you and see how full the room is. You are not alone. The community is strong, our allies is strong, and today we honor them. Let's just take a moment to give it up for our allies. All right, well, today is a day of celebration. I want to acknowledge that we're living in a crazy time. In many ways, this has been a year of setbacks. Internationally, 2 additional countries have banned same-sex relations, the last being April of this year, which is Iraq. That's only like a month and a half ago. If you think about it, it's almost crazy. There's only 195 countries in the world, and 70 of them, almost half of them, ban same-sex relations, making people unable to love who they love and be themselves. Meanwhile, per Human Rights Watch, in November 2023, Russia's Supreme Court ruled that the international LGBT movement was an extremist organization, banning all forms of rights activism in the country. This is also the first year in my life that I have ever seen the State Department issue a worldwide caution alert, alerting US citizens that are abroad about the dangers of possible terrorist attacks that could be targeting LGBTQ individuals and events. Domestically, the community has come a really long way. However, we're living in a divisive time. This is an election year, and there's no doubt that LGBTQ rights are on the ballot. The ACLU is currently tracking 479 anti-LGBTQ bills. Now, not all of these bills are going to be ratified into law, but every single one of them harms the community, its allies, and the population as a whole. How does it harm the population as a whole? It harms everyone because it limits inclusivity and makes us a less empathetic people. Allyship has never been more important. This is a community that is not alone thanks to its allies. Allies are needed now more than ever in order to ensure that hard-fought-for rights are maintained. You may not follow or be aware of the issues that the LGBT community is facing domestically or internationally. And honestly, if you're one of those people, I wish I was. Honestly, if you're one of those people, hats off to you. You know, it's amazing to be able to just shut off the chatter and live your life. But unfortunately, divisiveness is contagious. Even if you're not following current events, You feel it. You see it. You see it in the separation between in groups and out groups. Nobody's talking to each other, and they're stuck in this war of attrition. Because nobody's talking, the underlying anxiety is palpable. We are a collective as a society. The underlying feelings are part of that collective. In the book Anchored by Deb Donna, How to Befriend Your Nervous System Using Polyvagal Theory, Deb Donna has the following image that explains what occurs in your body when it's in certain states. Look at the chart and try to ascertain, as a collective society, where we are. Are we connected and communicative? Do we feel confident about our abilities to meet the demands of the day? Are we flexible? Are we calm? Can we go with the flow? Or is society stuck in the fight response? You would see that through chaotic energy, anger, and anxiety. You'd see that through mobilization to fight. You'd see it on the freeway. Or you'd see it on the opposite, mobilization to escape. Maybe society is stuck in a state of shutdown. What would that look like? Have people given up? Have they lost hope? Are they drained, just going through the motions? Are people burnt out, disconnected, and fatigued? Where does everybody here think society is? Think about it for a moment. Where are we as a collective nervous system? To me, we're stuck on the bottom two rungs of that chart, oscillating from anger to anxiety to being disconnected and giving up. That is unhealthy. Unhealthy societal states birth unhealthy ideas. Ideas are part of this collective, and unfortunately, so too is confirmation bias, collective delusions, and conspiracy theories. Somehow, inclusivity was morphed by fearful people into something scary. They are coming for our children. Yikes! How did that idea come to fruition? It happened with automaticity. Strong emotions are felt viscerally with almost automatic automaticity. The emotion is just that. It's a feeling that will come and go, but the story you place with it stays. People from the beginning of time have been making up stories to match their emotions, but unfortunately, many of these stories have no foot in reality. Ideas spread, and you get collective delusions and systemic homophobia. Systemic homophobia shakes the sense of self. It can push people to feel like things will never be different. It can lead to internalized anger and exhaustion. Everyone's sense of self is also informed by how society treats them. If negative messages are internalized, self-hatred ensues. The default mode network in your brain and body gets shaken with the trauma of oppression. This is why the conference is so important. It's a gift of time. Time to build yourself up. Time to look around and realize if you feel alone, you're not alone. Exercise compassion for yourself and those around you. Therapists, we have a funny relationship with self-compassion. Therapists rate really high on empathy scales, but really low on self-compassion scales. Empathy is that ability to feel what other people are feeling. Empathy lights up the pain centers in your brain. And empathy helps you see the other perspective, but it's tricky. Empathy is not always good because you can unconsciously turn it on and off. And remember, it's unconscious. You don't have awareness of what you're doing. So when you're burnt out, tired, or exhausted, empathy, it just doesn't work that well. Research shows that if you go to the hospital in the middle of the night, you had an accident and you're in severe pain, you're less likely to get the same amount of pain medication that you would get in the day. The same pain scales are used at night as in the day, but the results are different. Why is that? It's pretty simple. When staff are tired, they just don't care about your pain. Again, it's unconscious. And that, my friends, is empathy turned off. Empathy also has a darker side. People's brains automatically sort people into in groups and out groups. Empathy works really well inside in groups. However, empathy turns off when you're looking at out groups. This is one of the reasons the field is moving towards compassion, because compassion works on different systems. Remember, empathy lights up the pain centers of your brain. Compassion works on an altogether different system. It lights up the soothing systems of your body. The soothing systems of your body are your body's care centers. Your soothing system helps you slow down, rest, digest. It produces feelings of safeness, of kindness, and care. Compassion doesn't drain you in the same way that empathy can. I think everybody here has probably experienced empathy fatigue. Compassion doesn't do that because it's totally different parts of your body. Compassion also can offset feelings of anxiety and trauma-based symptoms. Compassion is positively related to resilience. Compassion regulates emotions. It reduces feelings of numbness and hyperarousal. It reduces feelings of shame and self-criticism. Compassion-based treatments target the soothing systems of your body. It can help you shift from a state of hyperarousal to a more healthy homeostasis. Self-compassion is also a buffer against the effects of trauma. There was an amazing study of combat veterans that just returned from either Iraq or Afghanistan. They found that veterans with elevated levels of compassion were less likely to develop PTSD 9 months after returning from deployment. The level of self-compassion was a more important predictor of PTSD than the level of combat exposure. It's really amazing. You could actually experience more combat, and if your level of self-compassion was high, you're much less likely to develop PTSD. That's amazing. Compassion also increases functioning in people that have PTSD and is a protective factor against the development of trauma symptoms. In this crazy world, building self-compassion opens you up to the love and abundance you deserve. So how do you build compassion? Utilize mindfulness. If you train yourself to be in the moment, you will gain freedom from rumination, and you can learn to enjoy the moment. When a moment is over, you're never going to get it back. So enjoy it. Cultivate a sense of presence. The cultivation of presence actually helps you to live longer and mitigates the negative effects of inflammation. Work to alleviate suffering, including your own. The first step to that is telling yourself you deserve to live in abundance. Have positive messages you tell yourself. Have a mantra that makes you feel good. So my mantra only makes sense based on the fact that I grew up in the middle of nowhere, so it makes sense from that geolocation. So I tell myself, ain't no thing but a chicka wang, and I feel great. That mantra will likely not work for anybody else in this room. So find one that works for you. You deserve to be loved. Look at this crowd. Come on. You guys are so lovable. The next step in building self-compassion is connecting to each other. We are going to do an art intervention for the purpose of allowing you to connect to your neighbors and to our common humanity. Another way to embrace self-compassion is being kind to yourself and being kind to others. Being kind to yourself entails quietening your internal judge. Your internal judge, we're all friends with it. That's that negative voice inside you that criticizes you, and it frequently manifests in should statements. You should be this, you should be that. Work to change should statements into preferences. My should statement is, I should be able to do everything, kind of with those pauses, everything, yeah. That's a really unhelpful statement because no one can do everything, right? So a kinder statement would be, I'm juggling it a lot and I'm trying my best. Nobody can fault you if you try your best. If you're having a hard time changing your should statement to a preference, think of your friends. Would you hold them to the same standard? Learn to be kind to yourself. This is a journey. Not everybody grew up being kind to themselves or opening themselves up to abundance. So take it one step at a time. You deserve it. You deserve abundance. If you do these things, whatever's going on in the world, it will be easier to manage. When you build self-compassion, it's easier to connect with yourself and to others. This is the goal of a healthy life and the goal of a healthy society. So I've been collaborating with clinicians for years, and I always tell them there are 3 questions never to forget in therapy. Where do you come from? Who are you? And where are you going? We know at least partially the answer to the first question. This community and its allies come from cultural giants. Who are you? I can't completely answer that question, but looking around this room fills my heart because I know everyone here celebrates pride, and that is pretty impressive. Where are you going? Today on a journey of learning, and hopefully by the day's end, your brain will be stuffed with knowledge and your heart full of love. Incorporating a sense of time in treatment helps with integration. The best thing about integrating ideas such as where do you come from, who are you, and where are you going, is that it automatically incorporates a full story, which is not fractured, so integration can naturally occur. Part of compassion and cultivation of presence is working towards having an integrated life where your story can be celebrated. Brian will share their story today, and hopefully that will help you to reflect on your own story and your own sense of purpose. We are going to do a little art this morning, but before we do art, I want to explain why we're going to do art with your clients. First, on a basic level, everyone has an innate need to make a mark, to create something. We know thousands of years ago, our ancestors made cave drawings. There was something special about these drawings, some ritual attached to them, or even a sense of sacredness. How do we know that? We know that because of where they drew. They didn't draw at the opening of the cave. In many of these drawings, they had to crawl through really tight spaces. They had to navigate in the dark until they got to the place where they could make their mark. Don't you love that? Those hands? They made their mark. There's something sacred historically about making art, and I think that's still true today. Everyone wants to leave a mark. So art has an immediate impact. Art also helps you like turn off the chatter and reconnect to yourself. Neurologically, more than 50% of the cortex, which is the surface of your brain, is devoted to processing visual information. Your brain value tags visual information, prioritizing it in memory. Art also gets people to a deeper place quickly because it brings the unconscious conscious. When art is used as a form of communication, you build creativity and access to your imagination. Most of us here today are in helping professions. Imagination is very important to help people achieve their goals. It is also likewise important for your own goal achievement. Imagination can go offline in trauma. Bessel van der Kolk did research on combat veterans with complex PTSD. He found when he did the Rorschach inkblot test that 3 out of 4 veterans would project their trauma onto the ink blots, or they would project other violent imagery onto the ink blots. Perhaps more interesting, 1 out of 4 of the combat veterans weren't able to project anything on the ink blots. From that experiment, we were able to ascertain that imagination goes offline in 25% of people that suffer from trauma. Now, Bessel van der Kolk also explains that 1 in 4 Americans experience trauma. So that's a lot of imaginations that have gone offline. Imagination is invaluable. If you cannot imagine, you can't see the world or your problems as ever changing or being different. Imagination is needed to find solutions and move forward when you're feeling stuck. Imagination is something we need in this wild world. So today, we're going to get in touch with our imaginations through this art experiential. The experiential will hopefully help you to connect to yourself and the people around you. And my friend Summer is going to explain it. So thank you everyone very much.
Morning. There we go. My name is Summer. I am the LGBTQ+ program manager here at Penny Lane. And I'd love to tell you about our tailored services program, so hit me up at the table outside later. I am trained as a therapist, and when I got into the field, I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to solve people's problems. That's so nice. We can solve people's problems. But that evolved. I quickly realized we couldn't solve people's problems. Rather, we can walk alongside them. And we can help to carry their burdens. We help to carry the weight of their trauma, of their story. But we can't just keep carrying this weight. As therapists, and as providers, and as allies, we can't always solve the problems of the people that we are walking alongside, but we can help to carry that weight. But we can't just keep carrying it. At a certain point, periodically, we need to remove the stones from our shoulders and our hearts. We need to get everyone's imagination back online. When we connect to our creativity while acknowledging pain, we allow for growth. Now this morning, we are going to create mandalas. The creation of a mandala signifies the transformation of the universe from suffering to joy. Now, you may have noticed when you sat down this morning that there are rocks placed in front of you. There's also candy, so it's a good setup this year. We've also placed 5 pens on the table. Now, you might count the number of people around you and say, oh, but we have more than 5 people at our table. And that's the point. The point is to share, to work together, and to collaborate. I'd like everyone here to take your stone and to create a symbol or write a message on your stone. Create something that represents you and helps you to feel connected. Now, we are going to walk around and help facilitate this. We'll check in with people and see how it's going. And we'll get to the next step once people have started creating. So go ahead and start creating on your stones.
Yes. Well, welcome again to our EDGY conference today. I would like to start off thanking Janet and Summer for including me in their presentation today and for presenting us with these beautiful stones that can serve as a future reminder of why we're here today. I would also like to thank everyone who is here for making the conscious choice to learn more about this community and how we can increase love towards them, not tolerance. We are not here to be tolerated, but to be loved. We are your brothers, your sisters, your sons, your daughters, your fathers, your mothers, and so on. When you think of them, do you think that they deserve tolerance? I think when you dig deep into your heart, you know it is love that they truly deserve. I hope giving you a few pieces of my story today will help highlight the importance of this to you all. Being an LGBTQ+ child was not an easy feat. I was surrounded by the expectations of what a boy was supposed to exhibit, with the prospects of being chastised if I did not fit these social constructs. The bullying began at a very early age, and the cacophonies of the word faggot in the halls were something I had grown accustomed to. The school staff looked the other way when such words were said to someone, whether it was directly or indirectly. No one said or did anything. Each time that I heard that word, it was a reminder that I was not safe, valued, or respected. These were feelings that resonated with me in many other spaces. My sexual orientation also caused me to struggle with my religion. I was raised a devout Catholic, and I'm very proud of some of the morals that they instilled in me. Nevertheless, it does not go without saying that they indirectly taught me and my peers that LGBTQ+ people are bad, wicked, and have left God behind. Those were all things that I did not want to be labeled as. When I had suspicions that I myself was gay, I prayed to God every night for them to make me straight, to make me normal. Each day I woke up disappointed, with these feelings still lingering, not having been taken away by the Lord and Savior I was taught to always believe in. As I grew older, I knew that I had to make a choice. It was either going to be me or my religion. I'm happy to share today that I chose myself. Not my religion, not the church, myself. I am thankful that I never went through some of the deep, dark places that other LGBTQ+ children enter when they feel rejected by the world. I wish I knew today that LGBTQ+ children did not continue to feel this way, but we know that is not the case. No child should feel this way, and I hope we can keep our LGBTQ+ children in mind as we fight for our social justice in our communities. When I entered college, I found myself surrounded by people with more open minds and hearts. The environment finally began to feel safer and full of potential for someone like me. However, I remember the day my college had held its first blood drive for the year. and I was very excited to participate with my peers. As many of you can guess, that was not something that was going to happen for me. I was told by the nurse that I didn't qualify as a donor because of the gay blood ban. For the nurse, it was just another day, another disqualified donor. For me, it was another realization that I was once again going to be othered. I am thankful to share that these restrictions have since been loosened and are not as black as white and they used to be. However, in comparison to our straight peers who can freely give blood, no matter how many sexual partners that they have, it makes us question why the ban continues to exist in the first place. Well, so far, I have shared a lot of negatives about being in the community, so how about a few positives as well? Today and every day here on, I am very proud to be a part of this community. There's a lot of initial fear in realizing that one is going to have to fight for their rights, but I have grown to love being a part of that fight. I am happy to see the progress that has been made for the LGBTQ+ youth. There are more pride flags showcasing solidarity in our communities than ever before. There's a lot more representation in the media in the form of TV shows, something that I did not have as a child growing up, but I'm now glad that our generations currently have that. I want us to look around our spaces every day this month and think of all those we can send some love and light to. It is as simple as saying Happy Pride to someone who may need to hear it that day. There's a song that always fills me with an overwhelming sense of self-love and pride every time that I hear it. And it may be a cliche, as I am not the first gay person to showcase this song, and nor will I be the last. But the song is truly special to me, and I want everyone to really remember every day, whether it's Pride Month or not, whether you're gay or straight, that we are beautiful in our way, because God makes no mistakes. We're on the right track, baby. We were born this way. Thank you and happy Pride.